What is good, everybody? Welcome back to another episode brought to you by the League FFB. Today, we are here for another BBM Best Ball Summer type of stream for you guys. So hopefully you guys are locked in, ready to go. Right now, Best Ball Mania is at about 30% filled at this point in the summer. Still a lot of time left to go. I think we are somewhere between 60-ish drafts completed as the last time that I looked. So we got a lot going on. If you want to join us here today, we are going to be in that 30-second BBM lobby for you guys. So make sure you go join that if you'd like to. But hey, we're just waiting on a few people. So let's just get into this lobby and let's make sure that we get this draft going. Today we're going to be doing a 0 running back build. So it'll be interesting. We haven't done that in BBM yet. So let's see how it goes, man. It's playing drafts or sweating pick'ems, there's no off-season on Underdog, which means there's still plenty of ways to cash in big this summer. No matter the sport you're watching, Underdog has you covered, and all you have to do is pick higher or lower on your favorite athletes from whatever sport, put them into a pick'em entry, watch the winning multiplier increase, click play, and win real cash. So what are you waiting for? Download Underdog and start playing today. Plus, when you use promo code LeagueFFB, Underdog will give you a new customer special, which is a free square for your first pick'em entry, and they will give you up to $1,000 in bonus cash, giving you the perfect head start to winning big on Underdog. So if you want to support our show and get in on some daily fantasy sports action, click the link in our description to sign up for Underdog using code LeagueFFB. So thank you to our sponsors over at Underdog, and with that out of the way, let's get back into the action. All right, man, so we're still just waiting on 2 more people to fill this lobby. Like I said, we're going to be doing a 0 running back type of build today. So was digging into some data from Hayden Winks over at Underdog Fantasy. If you guys aren't familiar with that, you probably should be at this point in time. I'm going to go through some of this data for you guys right now. He was doing, the last couple of years of 0 running back research, trying to figure out which strategies worked and really what was the most optimal 0 running back builds. When you're looking at this, he's really saying that we should be drafting somewhere between 4 wide receivers through the first 6 rounds, 5 wide receivers through the first 10 rounds, and then 6 to 7 through round 18. That first running back one's got to be like round 6-ish type of range, and then we really need to try and lock those in, try and stack those with a good pass catcher if we're going those early. So we'll try and do it. We'll see what we can make happen. Maybe a 3-6-7-2 type of build here today, but like I said, 0 running back, trying to grab that first one, in that 6th round type of range. That's going to be somewhere, maybe like, I don't know, maybe we're looking at like Caleb Johnson, DeAndre Swift, Pacheco, Pollard. Like, this is kind of where we're probably going to be looking at RB1 and trying to go from there. But we're going to load up a wide receiver, maybe get a difference maker at the quarterback position. There's a lot of options, and we're at the 101. So this actually works out really well because I'm going to grab some Jamar Chase here, and we can go early Joe Burrow as well. So let's just lock that in. A lot of people want to either push Burrow or draft him early. When you get the 101, I kind of had a conversation about this the other night. If you're trying to debate between pushing and drafting Burrow, if I have Jamar Chase, I'm probably just going to draft him where the ADP is, make sure that I grab him, lock him up, because how many of these Jamar Chase teams do you really want to have that are not stacked with Joe Burrow? Probably not a lot of them. You want to have that stack there for Cincinnati. So we'll look at that. We also got that Miami game we can target, the Arizona game that we can target as well. So maybe around the turn, we're grabbing a guy like Marvin Harrison Jr. Miami could maybe be a Tyreek Hill. We can really get creative with this team. It should be fun. And I like that we're picking from the 101 here. So we do have that draft starting right now. Looks like the lobby, we got some badges in here. So definitely, some decent competition, hopefully, in the lobby. Nothing weird going to happen, but we're going Jamar Chase. Let's lock it and load and see what we can do. So, yeah, man, I just think it's going to be interesting to see how this build goes. If you're tapping in with us tonight, we do have a like goal of 20 likes. So if you're watching the stream, you want to see us hit a second draft after this one on stream, it's 20 likes is the goal. If we can get to 20, I will rip another one live right after this one is finished. So go ahead and tap that like button if you want to. And if you have any fantasy football questions, I know redraft season is approaching. We're going to be getting into that type of content here soon, very shortly, actually, probably as soon as next week. We'll be getting our first redraft video on the channel, talking about that. If you have the dynasty questions, of course, make sure you throw those in the channel. And any best ball strategy conversations you want to have, let me know, man. Or if you just want to talk and chill tonight, you don't want to talk about fantasy, you want to talk about, you know, life, whatever, let me know, man. We'll see what we can get happening. But Bijan Robinson at the 2 spot, Justin Jefferson, Saquon Barkley, and CeeDee Lamb. Pretty standard. Like I said, you know, it's not going to be anything abnormal. We have been drafting fairly early in a lot of our BBMs so far. I feel like we've had top 4-ish picks in all of them, so still trying to stay unique. Now that we have Jamar Chase on the team, I do want to kind of see our combination tool just to make sure with those best ball manias, we are going to be getting, you know, we don't have Jamar Chase on a Best Ball Mania team, so that's pretty decent for us. So we have our first one here on a Best Ball Mania team, which is good. So we'll look at that, see what we can build around it. Like I said, I like that Miami and that Arizona game as well. That should be a good one to target. We'll just filter this one to all tournaments. I'm going to keep it BBM exposures for now. Go from there. Actually, let me go update these exposures and combinations real quick. We have enough time to get this done. Active, completed, exposures. Extract those exposures and go back to our draft. All right, so we should have some updated exposures here now. Bindles, my guy, what's up? Bummed we didn't see you the other night, Bindles, over on the Garage channel, but glad to see you here tonight, man. I don't know why we're not seeing those exposures. It does feel like these exposures are weird right now. Let me just hit a refresh on this page. I don't know why I'm not seeing those exposures. Weird. How much time we got for our next pick? We'll probably try and do it after the next pick. Let's see. Extract those teams. We'll try and upload the CSV. Should have done this before the stream. My fault, folks. We're getting a little bit of a slide on London. If we can, I don't imagine that to happen, but if we could get a slide on London, that would be nice. See what we can do for the extraction. Maybe because I closed it, we're not going to see it. I'll duplicate this and do it in a different tab. Hold on. Whoa. Not really sure what's happening on the screen right here. Hold on. It's extracting all those teams, so it's going to look funky for a second. My apologies, folks. The screen's going crazy right now. Shane in the chat says, love the hat, cutie, and the jersey. Got the JSN one on tonight. So hopefully we can get some JSN on this team. Maybe not, though, depending on what happens with this turn here. We just got sniped on Tyreek. I'm going to put Marvin in the queue, pull him up just so we can make that happen. And then I'll probably grab Rashi as well. There we go. And it should finally stop wigging out here for a second. Let's see what we can... Let's see. Maybe. We were right on the clock, but we did get those guys queued up, so hopefully he does get us loaded in. Man, what a mess. There we go. So we got Marvin Harrison, which is what we wanted. We're going to take Rashee Rice right here, which is also what we want. Trying to go with the 0 running back build. It does look like our exposures are fixed, so that is good. It does say exposures updated just now, combinations just now. So, okay, we're back in business, folks. I apologize for the mess at the beginning of the stream, but it is what it is. Brett says, my dog. Appreciate you being here, Brett. And Shane says, I'm taking him at the 305, Lord willing. Some JSN, so that would be interesting to see. But we are going the 0 running back build here. Right now, you know, we're kind of targeting these championship weeks for us. So Arizona would be one of those, Miami would be one of those, and Baltimore would be one of those if we're looking at the Cincinnati team, which is what we're going to be trying to build around here with Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. Pick 63 is the ADP for Burrow right now. He has been slipping a little bit in ADP, so we will probably reach up and grab him at 49. This is kind of where you need to take him if you want Burrow on the team with Chase, because trying to push around is not always going to be ideal, especially when you have the T. Higgins manager that's going to pass by you twice, right? Like, he's going to have the 51 and the 70, so even if Burrow does push, you always got to worry about that T. Higgins manager. So that's what we're going to be looking at. That's what we're going to be trying to do. But I think the start right now in this 0 running back build with the high T wide receiver is going to be pretty interesting with Chase, Marvin, and Rashee. And Bindles says 0 running back is back in 2025. And last year, you know, a lot of people who did these 0 running back teams, it didn't go well because all of your running backs stayed healthy for the most part for the majority of the year. It was the wide receivers that got hurt. So when you had those injuries, you know, taking, you know, all those wide receivers and then them getting hurt and then you not having the running backs wasn't a great year last year for 0 running back. This year, we'll see if it goes back to the norm, but we're going to take a gamble on this one. Like I said, I haven't done it with any of my teams so far, so it'll be interesting to see how that one pans out. Now, that said, pick 72 is probably about the time we'll look at that first running back, so I'm going to go another wide receiver here at 48, and then we're going to go Burrow at 49, which will give us 4 wide receivers and Joe Burrow stacked with Jamar Chase to start this draft. And that should be pretty interesting to build around. I think looking at that pick 48, you know, we could potentially be looking at maybe a Jameson. Maybe we could be looking at Devontae Smith, Cortland Sutton. But it does feel like right now this lobby is pushing, you know, some of these running backs and some of these QBs already. You know, typically we see those QBs go. Allen, you know, you got him at a discount here. Kyron Williams is at a discount right now. Maybe Lamar comes off the board before we even pick, and it doesn't matter. But this lobby is pushing that running back and quarterback just a tiny bit at the moment. Brett says, I got pick 4 in a 1 quarterback league, and my mocks have had Bijan plus Achane, Bucky, or CMC. Is it bad to start running back? I don't think it's bad to start running back, especially if you get a guy like Bijan and Achane, a guy like Bijan and CMC. I think I'm going to have both of those guys. All 3 of those guys really ranked inside of my top 5 redraft running backs this year early on. So if you can grab 2 top 5 running backs, I don't think that's bad at all. The thing is just you're going to have to punt one position because you're going to need to play some catch up at the wide receiver position. So punt the tight end, maybe, you know, take a flyer on a QB late or 2 QBs, put one on the bench and a 1 QB and just see what happens. Play the waiver wire, but I don't think it's a bad start at all. It says the wide receivers around there were Drake, Ladd, and AJB. Yeah, I don't mind you going the 2 running backs to start, but these are also good players. I think I would have Drake the highest right now. Peter, my guy, he says, how's it going? It's going well. I appreciate you stopping in and being in the stream, seeing what's going on, man. We're out here drafting some best ball squads tonight. Preaching some 0 RB today to the folks at home. Right now, we're still getting an opportunity at some of these wide receivers. We didn't really have any of them come off the board. Whoops, we just closed that tab accidentally. There we go. We didn't really have any of these come off the board yet. James Cook, we're getting a small value on, and I have been clicking James Cook. I think if we get the opportunity, I will go Devontae Smith. If he comes off of the board, I'm probably going to stay away from George Pickens just because we have already an early, you know, double tens. But I wouldn't mind a Jalen Waddle either with the recent news and also having that Miami stack here. You know what? I'm actually just going to pull Waddle at the top. That's going to be the pick for us. I'm going to take Devontae off. We'll go Waddle and Burrow. Just bite the bullet on that stack. And this gives us the start that we wanted with Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. Then we have Marvin Harrison here for this Week 16 game against Cincinnati. And we have Jalen Waddle in here as well. Or what did I say? Marvin Harrison, he's in the Week 17 game against Cincinnati. And then we have Jalen Waddle there in Week 16. So this is a good start, man. I'm feeling good about this right now. Now, really, depending on who is there at the running back position, this is great value, by the way, on James Cook. There's no way in hell that he even comes back to us, but whoever scoops this up is getting a steal, I think, on a player that's probably going to be a top 10 running back again this year. Brett says, you think Waller has any major impact that affects any of the current Dolphins negatively? I don't think so. I wouldn't mind in best ball leagues where like maybe you're picking later and you're getting Tua late and you're searching for that stack or that correlation later in a draft. I don't mind scooping up Darren Waller just to, have some correlation with Tua because Tua's going so late, especially if you miss out on the Jalen Waddle and the Achane and the Tyreek Hill early on. But I don't think he's going to be a big difference maker. A good dart throw late in drafts right now in best ball, but he's probably going to creep up a little bit. And once he creeps up, I'm not interested in clicking that button anymore. So maybe we'll throw him in as an 18th round pick here in this draft, but I think more likely than not, Waller is probably not going to be super effective. Don't expect what Jonnu did last year. That's basically what I'm saying here. James Cook comes off the board at 52. That was damn near a whole round of value that you just got on him. We're getting some value on Devontae Smith as well. This is an interesting lobby, which is good because that means we're going to be able to scoop up some of this falling value every once in a while. I think for that next pick, like I said, we're going to be picking at, what was that, 72 and 73. So if we're looking in that range, maybe getting a guy like Judkins or Caleb Johnson, DeAndre Swift, Isaiah Pacheco, trying to get those guys to try and beef up this running back room now that it's zero running back. But like I said, I was tapping into that data that Hayden Winks was, posting, talking about the previous years of zero running back. And really, we should be trying to grab 3 to 5 of these running backs through round 10. So once we get to our next pick, we're going to be in round 6. We probably want to grab one, and then we need to have 2 or 3 more probably in the next couple of rounds. So that's really where we're going to get at that running back position and see if we can scoop some of that up and get some of that value. Just maybe catch some falling ADPs. Garage, what's up, man? He says, what up, fellas? I was on his stream last night. Go check out his stuff. He's doing fantasy best ball drafts all summer long, so make sure you're tapped in. I think he's doing them all year round, so make sure you're tapped into him as well. Appreciate him having me on the channel. Brett says, what is Waller's ceiling to you? Tight end 15? Sounds about right, but honestly, in fantasy, especially single season formats, redrafts, best balls, I want guys that kind of can give you those top 5-ish spike weeks, top 10-ish spike weeks, and I don't know if Waller's doing that. But like I said, late round 18 in a best ball, I'll sprinkle with Tua if we have him. We did that last night actually on Garage's channel, but I'll sprinkle him in. But I'm not expecting really much out of him for the most part, other than maybe he gets me 1 or 2 weeks where he's playable because he caught a touchdown or something like that. But at the tight end position, that's all you really need in best ball. So RJ Harvey comes off the board. I think if I'm not mistaken, he was at a value as well there. James Conner would be interesting because we also have the Marvin Harrison, so that would give us the same game stack that we're kind of targeting there with Arizona. If he's not on the board, I don't mind, I think I probably would shoot upside of Judkins if we had the opportunity. So I'm going to go Conner and Judkins as the upside picks and try and grab maybe one more. We're not getting any like crazy value at wide receiver either, so probably keep it there. Peter says, watch the stream with you and Garage today. You guys killed it. Yeah, I thought we drafted, that first team I thought we drafted was really good. That second team, we kind of botched it at the very back end of it, but I think it still came out pretty decent. Definitely some fun drafts, and that's what Garage is saying. Some fun drafts for sure, so it was a good one. Jimothy says, who are your highest exposed to players, and what's the max you think you should have of one player? Right now, my highest exposed players are, I don't want to close this draft, so I will pull that up on my phone here so I can just give you some names. But Isaiah Pacheco is one of them. You see, these are just BBM exposures that we're looking at right now. It's not all of my exposures. But if I go to all contests right now at QB, Tua, Kyler, Matthew Stafford, Dak Prescott, and JJ McCarthy, those are my top 5 QBs. At running back, it's Pacheco, James Cook, David Montgomery, Travis Etienne, and Kyron Williams. And then at wide receiver, it's going to auto-pick Judkins for us, which is fine. Let me load up one more. I am probably going to go Pacheco here just to keep us in that game. Wide receiver, it's Jalen McMillan, Jordan Addison, Cortland Sutton, Romo Dunze, Adonai Mitchell. And then tight end, we got Kincaid, Kelsey, Ferguson, Schultz, and Otten. When it comes to players and the max exposure you can have, I don't think anything is too crazy. I'm typically a guy, like if I'm in on somebody, I'm probably going to end up somewhere in the low 30-ish percentages, where I'll probably be 32, 33% on the guys that I just really want to take a stand on. But I'm not ever going to be one of those guys that is at 60, 70% one player, unless it's, a guy that's really, really cheap. But I think right now, I have guys like Pacheco, who I have at 25% exposure. I have Jordan Addison 19% exposure, and I've been stopping clicking Addison. At one point he was at like 27%, but I kind of stopped clicking him just because I didn't want to be too overexposed. And then obviously we had the news that he could probably be suspended for about 4 games, maybe here pretty soon. So Brett says, am I crazy for thinking there's a chance Dobbins outplays RJ? I wouldn't do it. I don't think he's probably going to be I think RJ is super talented. I really liked RJ coming out of college. He was a guy that, go back and look at those box scores there. And obviously you don't want to just look at box scores. You want to look at the tape. But RJ Harvey was a dude who was doing everything for UCF. He is a monster. One of the all-time leading rushers there at UCF. So yeah, he's a player that I think can come in and be utilized really heavily right away. And I think Sean Payton has a vision for him to do that. That's why they use second-round draft capital on him. Dobbins is definitely, I think, more an indictment on how they feel about Audric Estime than anything. On Real Time says RIP 0 RB. Might be RIP. That's the reason why we're testing it right now, is to make sure that here in 2025, it didn't work last year. Maybe it'll work this year when everybody thinks it's dead. So we'll see what happens. Right now, though, with Judkins, Pacheco, Chase, Harrison, Rice, Waddle, I like what we got. That Joe Burrow stack as well. We could kind of target maybe some Denver in here later, maybe some Chargers in here later, because we do have the 2 Kansas City Chiefs, betting on that offense to kind of stay pretty relevant. I think these are going to be 2 of the best players in that offense, really. So, yeah, I kind of like what we have right here, man. Back of that turn there, I just want to make sure we're still kind of following our plan. 5 wide receivers through 10. We got 4, so I'd like to have one more with, one of these 3 picks. Probably want to have the 3 to 5 running backs through round 10 as well. So right now we're at 2. I say we probably double tap. We go 2 running backs and a wide receiver with these next 3 picks and keep it that way. Dan, he says, yo, long time no see. You doing another draft after this? I might be doing another draft after this. We do have a like goal. It's pinned. If we hit 20 likes by the end of this draft, I will rip a second one live. So if we can hit that like goal, I will definitely rip another one here on stream, Dan. But I appreciate you being in here and hanging out for this one here. We still got a long ways to go. We got to land this plane. I think we got a good start, but we need to land this plane for sure. No major values on the board right now. I wouldn't mind pulling in potentially some Jalen Warren, some Travis Etienne. We could also go some scat. I haven't taken a lot of scat at all, but we could go some scat. Let's see what happens. Hawkinson's falling a little bit. Do I want to try and catch that? Do I just want to try and push that? later. We could go with an Engram. I said we could target Denver there to go with Kansas City in that week 17. It doesn't matter. Hawkinson was picked up. So we're just going to stick to the plan. Running back wise, we're going to rip 2 of these because I don't think we have any. Yeah, there's nothing that I love here. I'm going to go Jaylen Warren. And then I'm going to go Travis Etienne, take those ambiguous backfields, see if we can get some production out of it. So Judkins, Pacheco, I think we got 2 kind of bell cow type of guys here. And then Warren and Etienne in those ambiguous backfields. Hopefully get some PPR points out of these guys or something like that. And then go from there. I wouldn't mind with that next one. We're going to be sitting about pick 120, 121. Probably be looking at that point in time. I wouldn't mind scooping a Luther Burden for some upside in this with this specific build. I wouldn't mind trying to grab maybe a guy like Marvin Mims if he's there. We'll keep an eye on, see what happens, but that'll be the idea. And then I think the next thing that we really should be looking at is, you know, we've kind of stayed to the plan through 10 rounds already. We got to kind of land this through the 18. So we need 6 running backs ish on this roster through 18, probably 6 to 7 wide receivers total. I'm thinking this is going to be a 2 QB, probably a 3 tight end type of build, depending on where we're at. So we'll see what we can do here, man. Brett says everybody go like. I like it. I like it, man. Let's pull that board up. Still got a little bit of way to go. I'll scroll down a little bit for anybody that's coming in. I also maybe wouldn't mind, you know, going a tight end with one of these, or maybe we try and chase another stack or something like that. Parker reposted this stream. Appreciate that, Parker, over on X. Hit us with the little repost. So love that. Love to see that. If you guys don't know, we are streaming on X as well. So thank you, Parker, for the little support there, getting us out a little bit more. All right, man. It's gonna slow down here. It feels like it slows down always about this part, especially in these 30-second lobbies, but I kind of like using the 30-second lobbies when we are drafting on stream, just because you got a lot going on sometimes. So trying to get that. On Real Time says balanced builds go burr. Let's see. What are we looking at tight end wise, QB wise around there? We do have Ingram and Andrews potentially. We could have that Cincy stack, that game stack. That would be interesting. We could also go. Bateman came off the board, yeah? Why do I keep doing that? No, Bateman did not come off the board, so we could go wide receiver with Bateman as well. These picks. Waddle, we can stack that up with Tua late. That's probably the move. And then, like I said, scoop in a little Waller if we want to later, just cause. Could be interesting. Yeah, that might be the move. Let's keep Tua on our board as well. Want to try and lock that in. And I'm okay going 2 QBs with Burrow and Tua. Ideally, we're going to land Ingram and Bateman. Ideally. But if not, I don't mind going both Baltimore guys. We still got a little bit of ways to go, though, before we get there. And these are the guys at the top of the ADP board. So we'll see. if they do come off the board, I don't mind going maybe Christian Kirk or Marvin Mims, pulling one of those guys up in ADP. Could go Stevenson as well if we wanted Stevenson. There's some options. Our tight ends came off the board, so we won't be going tight end. Which maybe that means we just go with the... Well, we won't be going any of those guys. They all came off in ADP. Probably try and grab... We have that game stack here. If I was gonna say Christian Kirk, but that's not gonna matter. Let's just keep this up. Could go Marvin Mims. I don't mind pulling up Marvin Mims a little bit, especially being at the turn. So let's throw Marvin up here. He's somebody we'll look at, and then I also don't mind going Charbonnet or Stevenson. I'm between the two. D Carolina. Do we have anything? Stevenson would be correlated with some Baltimore if we get some Baltimore in here as well. We also don't have a week 14, so let's just rip these two, Marvin Mims and Ramondre Stevenson. So we got 5 running backs, 5 wide receivers, and 1 QB right now through, what is that, 11 rounds. So kind of keeping this on pace. I really don't think we need more than 2 more wide receivers, 1 more running back, and then, what is that, a QB and 3 tight ends? That's probably the way that this is going to pan out right now. So let's see what happens. Hopefully we're not going to miss out on Tua. I don't think we should. His ADP is 150. We do have 144, 145. So we're going to try and take him here at 144. The only thing we have to worry about, I think, is the Tyreek Hill manager, who is sitting here at 23. So if they want to grab that Tua stack, which it does look like they have punted QB as well, I think we're going to get sniped at 143. I think that is probably where we get sniped on Tua. And if that is the case, we're going to get caught out in the cold. And I don't like that. We probably should have paid attention to that, because I probably would have took Tua here ahead of ADP. Over Stevenson and just scooped up whatever was there later, because I think the difference is probably not massive from the running back and the difference that Tua would make had he hit your lineup with Jalen Waddle. If this manager, they're going to do it. I think they're going to do it. We'll see. Such a risky game. Garage says fingers crossed for Tua for sure, dude. This feels kind of similar in a way to the team we did the other night. Funny enough, it just feels like it kind of worked out that way, that those are the matchups that we targeted. You went with the, I guess we went with the heavy Miami. This one is the Burrow and Chase stack, but we got a little bit more Arizona in here as well. Just fun games. I think fun games to target here, but man, this is I don't feel good, folks. I do not feel good. I guess we need to come up with a contingency plan if we get sniped on Tua. And I think probably likely is going to be in the range. We don't have any Penix potential stacks on this team. We could go Stafford. And just try and grab a little bit of Stafford. But again, that would be a naked pick as well. I guess we could pair that with Tutu or something later. I think really where ideally this is the picks around the turn here. Ideally. But MTRX 420 is going to be such a pain for us. Dan says, "What's your fourth plans? Trying to finish these 10 pounds of meatballs before the next draft." Look, I don't have any plans at the moment. My wife actually works on the 4th of July, so we are not really planning anything for the day. I wish we could. All of our family's on the West Coast. We're currently living on the East Coast, so no family around. No 4th of July plans. We might, once she gets off of work, we might try and go catch some fireworks at the park or something. I think they're doing it at the community that we have around here, so that might be the plans, but no plans as of right now. Maybe my plans are just going to be editing some videos, and that sounds like the most boring 4th of July plans, but sometimes that's just the way it is, Dan. Send some of those meatballs over here though, because I'll definitely eat those on the 4th of July if you want to send them my way. Justin Herbert, what the hell? I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. We're gonna take Isaiah Likely, and then we're gonna take Tua. We got lucky, folks. We really got lucky on this one. What a blessing. Today's a good day. Today is a good day right now. For many of reasons, but this is just the icing on the cake right now. Philip says, "How's the team looking, brother?" It's looking good. We are going 0 RB for this team. That's how we've been doing it, but we ended up grabbing Joe Burrow and Tua Tagovailoa at the quarterback position. We're really targeting this Miami-Cincinnati games here in Week 16. We also have been targeting this Arizona and this Baltimore game because we have Jamar Chase on the roster with Marvin Harrison Jr., Rashee Rice, Jalen Waddle, Marvin Mims. For the running backs, being a 0 running back build, we came away with Judkins, Pacheco, Warren, Etienne, and Ramondre Stevenson. And then at tight end right now, Isaiah Likely. Probably going to pick up 2 more guys here at the tight end position just to keep it looking good. But this is a very solid looking roster at the moment. I think we're doing a decent job here of managing this. We got blessed. We got a little bit. There's some, roster constructions that's needed for this, but we also got a little lucky. I won't lie to you. You know what it was? We took Burrow above ADP, and we didn't play the push game with Burrow, so they blessed us, with the Tua Tagovailoa comeback. Philip says, "Looking like a really good no RB strat though." I think it looks pretty decent, man. It's funny because a lot of these running backs, I think a lot of people are uncomfortable around this range, but I'm high on Pacheco this year. I'm in on an ETN bounce back. At least I can see that narrative potentially happening. I think Stevenson can be involved a little bit. Warren still can be involved in the receiving game, and Judkins I think is a bell cow. So I think for 0 running back, if you're pushing it to the 6th-ish round to take that first RB right now, you can really load up on the wide receivers, get a good quarterback in like Joe Burrow, or maybe your flavor is going like A.J. Brown early and getting a Jalen Hurts. You want to kind of get that stack. I think there's a lot of opportunities for some good correlation, and you also can get some good teams. So I think a lot of people feel like 0 running back is dead after last year because 0 RB teams just got destroyed last season. But I think they can look pretty decent right now, at least the way that these ADPs and these lobbies have been drafting for the moment. We get 1 year of healthy running backs, and all of a sudden people kind of forget how volatile that position has been over the last couple of years. Now for our next picks here, any good tight ends we can correlate with this. Gesicki would be interesting. I think he's probably a guy that we should target with this build, with Burrow on the team for sure. And then I think Waller, again, is probably a guy that we should probably target later. So let's probably try and do that. We'll try and take Gesicki with this next pick if we can. And I'll probably also take Jalen McMillan. I like Jalen McMillan right here as a potential pick. So I'll try and go, that didn't work. We'll go Gesicki and try and figure out the other one. But running back wise, we could go Jalen Wright. Just be done there. I need to stop saying the names, man. I need to stop saying the names because then they get sniped right after. We We could go Tennessee, Denver, Tampa. Michael Wilson, but we already have AZ. Alec Pierce off the board, so we'll go Gesicki. And I don't mind just having Braylon be the guy either, so we'll go Braylon Allen. I don't see a big difference. I do actually see a little bit of a teardrop from Braylon to everybody else, so he's kind of the last guy. So Judkins, Pacheco, Warren, Etienne, Stevenson, and Braylon, and maybe we end up getting a Brees trade around the deadline or something like that, or maybe Brees really is cooked. I hope not, because I'm in on Brees Hall, but maybe he's cooked, and we do get some Braylon. But I think right now we're done. I'm done at running back. I don't think I'm going to take another guy. We will take 2 more of these wide receivers, 1 more of these tight ends. We'll call it a day because that'll be our last 3 picks. I would like to potentially have it be Waller if we can get him at 216, but that's a dangerous game. Trying to push him that far. But I guess I wouldn't mind taking him at 193 if we have to either. Let's see. Peter says, what are your thoughts about Jalen Wright this year? I'm really excited about him. I'm a very big Devon Achane guy this year. Like, I think Achane is really a dark horse candidate for the running back 1. You know, we think about Gibbs, we think about Bijan, and Saquon being the top of the top, but I really do think, you know, a healthy Tua, that is the contingency here, is if Tua is healthy. I think Achane has dark horse RB1 potential, so I'm really high on him. Jalen Wright, I do think, is the other guy in the backfield. You know, if I have to pick between him and Ollie Gordon, it is Jalen Wright. Hopefully he does take that step forward, and maybe he gets a couple of these red zone carries and things like that. That would be interesting, but I am very, very pro Achane at the moment, and if that is the case, I think I'm fading Wright just a tiny bit just because I'm so pro Achane, but he should be the RB2. I just don't know if I can see him getting, like, you know, the Mostert role that happened a couple years ago. I just don't see that necessarily happening. Dan says, what's your opinion on Freiermuth now after that trade? I had him as a breakout until then. Look, I had a lot of Freiermuth in my exposures. I had a lot of him in my portfolio. I'm not excited, man. I'm not excited. I think it's Jonnu and Muth are pretty much cooked right now. Like, I don't think you can trust either of those in a lineup league. In a best ball, fine. But he's a guy that's probably, like, at this point in time, let's just kind of look at where the ADPs are. Like, Muth right here, right? I'm probably taking Otten over Muth. I would probably shoot Mason Taylor, just the upside there. I think Muth probably belongs closer to this, like, Dalton Schultz range. And if he's around there, you know, that's 2 rounds later in ADP. So he's probably fallen 2 rounds in ADP for me right now. Kalos has got to change that brand on the hat and the thumbnail, my guy. Bro, leave me alone. Leave me alone. I got the headshots saved on the folder. It's easy to just pull the headshots off of the computer desktop and put them on the thumbnails. That's a whole nother thing. Get the hat change, but you're right. You're right. But it is what it is. I've been lazy. You know, sometimes when you make the content, you don't want to sit there and take headshots of you making faces for thumbnails. It's the worst. It's already cringy enough just thinking that you have to do it, but then, like, having to do it over again is even worse. I also wouldn't mind catching Hunter Henry right here. He's falling. We already have a week 14 Ramondre Stevenson. Like, that's just puts us in on the Drake May offense, I guess, which I'm not opposed to. We could also get Cade Otton, who is correlated here. So maybe we just try and see what we can make happen with this next pick. Probably going to end up grabbing we got to grab a wide receiver for sure. I would probably grab... Do we really want to... I'm probably going to grab Wan'Dale if he's there. If he's not, now that I said his name, he's going to be picked by one of these 2 guys. But if he's not, we'll see what happens. But I think I'm going to go Wan'Dale and then... Yep. Let's go Wan'Dale, and then I'm going to go... Should Should I go Otten? I think so. I'm going to go Otten. I was going to grab Waller, but we have the stack that we wanted. Let's get Otten. I think he's a better tight end play. Really good offense. So we'll have him there with Gesicki and Likely. I don't mind this tight end room at all. I think this has a lot of upside. Is correlated very, very well. Lots of correlation on this team, really. And then probably for this last pick, I want to keep it probably away from the week 12. It's not a big issue, but I don't really want to have 3 week 12s when we... I mean, for the most part, we should just be relying on these folks. So I guess it doesn't really matter. I think really my pick that I had in mind, though, was Wicks. If we could get Dontavion Wicks. If not, I don't mind a Coker, Yoshavash, if he's, you know, falls, and Wilson if he falls and is correlated potentially as well. If we want to pull, you know, a little bit of a deep play and reach down a little bit, I don't mind grabbing a sneaky little what if on an Amari Cooper and just seeing what happens. Yeah, those are probably the picks for us. I've been also trying to sprinkle just a tiny bit of D-Rob, but haven't done it in any BBMs yet. Maybe a Shamir DK. There's a couple options. Dan says, just smash AD every single time. Yeah, he's another guy that I've been taking a ton of down here. I feel like he's just such a good value. Where is he still down here? I think he was picked, right? Yeah, he was picked right after us. I'm going to be interested to see if we could have pushed Waller, because you do have the argument that we could have waited, but if we'll see if any of those teams take him. I think I'm going to... I don't know. I like these because we just don't have those bye weeks really at the wide receiver position. We're not doubled up. We do have the double 10s and the double 12s. So I think these are the two guys. And then obviously this is a wild card, but I don't mind, you know, shooting it. He signs with the team and the ADP goes up pretty rapidly, I assume. So we'll see what happens there. Especially with the final pick, you know, we're picking as late as we are there at 216. Like, I don't mind an Amari Cooper pick. We could go a Roman Wilson pick as well, but I don't know how much I love it. But just giving us options here. We might be good on Wicks, though. Fingers crossed. This team's probably in at running back. This one's very much a luxury pick, I think, for this guy. This one's probably a running back as well. Just if I had to make my guesses. Not a running back there. He must be like super early. Yeah, I mean, yep, makes sense. That luxury pick, if it is a luxury pick, does make sense to go running back. And I guess I don't know anything here. But I think we'll get Wicks. And that's exactly what we wanted. Mike Williams, what the hell? Dontavion Wicks. And that's our final pick. So let's pull this team up because for some reason it just pauses every time that we finish it. We go to BBM. Look at this team right here. This is the roster for us tonight. Joe Burrow, Tua Tagovailoa, got that correlation there. 0 running back build that comes away with a running back room of Quinshon Judkins, Isaiah Pacheco, Jalen Warren, Travis Etienne Jr., Ramondre Stevenson, and Braylon Allen. I actually really like this running back room for the fact that it is 0 RB. Jamar Chase, Marvin Harrison Jr., Rashee Rice, Jalen Waddle, Marvin Mims Jr., Wan'Dale Robinson, and Dontavion Wicks for the wide receiver room. Getting the Tua stack here, the Burrow stack here, the game stack here. Lots of things to like. And then likely stacked in that game stack week 15 with Joe Burrow. Mike Gesicki stacked there with Joe Burrow as well. And then K. Dotton in the game stack with Miami. Love the build. I actually think it's pretty good for what it's worth. You know, going to 0 RB, not really knowing how that was going to pan out, if you were going to be too weak at any position. I don't really feel like we have a weak spot really anywhere, and overall it just feels like a pretty good roster. So that is what we got here tonight, folks. As always, if you guys want those correlations on the screen when you are drafting over on Underdog, make sure you go over to bestballoverlay.com, one of the best edges in best ball right now, and you can get 25% off of your subscription there at Best Ball Overlay if you use code LEAGUEFFB. It's the same code that you see down there on the bottom of the screen, and when you use that code as well on Underdog, you will get up to $1,000 in bonus cash and a mystery pick'em. So make sure you go in, use those promo codes if you want to get in on any of the action at any of those places, Underdog, BBO, any of those places. It would support the channel, so I appreciate that. Nothing else for you guys today. We are definitely short of the light goal, which is fine. It's a holiday week, so I didn't expect too much right now. On Real Time says the memorial service for 0 RB will be held game 1 of the NFL playoffs. I will hopefully not be there, because hopefully we are going to be advancing this later than that. So appreciate everybody for watching. Hit the like button if this is your first time on the channel. Hit the subscribe button if this is your first time on the channel as well. Make sure you go join our free Discord. That is linked in the description. Like I said, this upcoming week here after the 4th of July, going to be starting the redraft content on the channel, so that will be introduced a couple times a week. The redraft videos, as well as the dynasty videos that are going to keep going year round, and the best ball stuff. So lots of stuff, content ramping up here very rapidly. So make sure you're tapped in. But with that being said, I have nothing else for you guys today, so I will see you on our next episode. Until then, peace out.